Hello and welcome to the Absolute Beginner Guitar Lesson Series. My name is Oliver and today's lesson is lesson number 21. Hope you have your guitar out, tuned up to standard pitch, and I also hope you have a notebook or binder, or at very least a piece of paper and something to write with. So today's lesson is the third lesson in a series of lessons that are centered around the subject of chord voicing. In lesson 19, we learned about inversions. And in lesson 20, we started to sort of explore the way that we can use the different chord fingerings that we have for the various chords in order to add tonal variety to our playing. In today's lesson, we're going to look at how we can use chord voicing to make our playing easier. And what I want to do is I want to start out by looking at one of our sets of chord fingerings, and specifically the root note B string. You may notice that we're going quite a long way to get from where we start at the first fret all the way up to this octave note at the 13th fret. And what I want to point out is what we're doing when we're playing these notes on the B string, and when we're playing these chords with root notes on the B string, we're sort of following what's known as a line. So our string is sort of the line, and we're moving up and down this line to find the various notes in the various chords that we need to play. And we're doing the same thing when we play with our root notes on the E string. Now the E string sort of forms a line, and we have the various notes of the scale on that line of the E string. And that's where we root our chords. Same thing with the G string. So what I want to sort of point out is how these lines overlap with each other. And the first thing I want to do is I want to start out with simply three notes, starting with the C. We have C at the first fret, and then we have D at the third fret. However, when we get to E, we have an option. We could play the E at the fifth fret, or we could play the open E. So the lines overlap here. And this is what I want to sort of point out. So let's just play through the scale starting with the C note, which is the 1 because we're in the key of C. And let's just play up to the A note, which is the 6. So if we start where we started before at the first fret of the B string, we have the C note. So then we move up to the third fret of the B string, we have the D note. Now, as I said, when we get to the E, we have the option. We could either play it at the 5th fret or we could play the open string. So I'm going to take the option of playing the E string open. So now we can proceed along the line of the E string from here. So our next note is F. So we go to the first fret of the E string. We have F. The next note is G. We move up to the 3rd fret of the E string. We have G, and finally we have A at the 5th fret of the E string. Now if we start on the C, we have the C at the 1st fret, the D is at the 3rd fret, the E could be played at the 5th fret or open, the F is at the 1st fret of the E string, the G is at the 3rd fret of the E string, and the A is at the 5th fret. So now let's look. We have C at the 1st fret of the B string, and we have E at the 5th fret of the, or excuse me, I'm sorry, we have A at the 5th fret of the E string. So now we've spanned the notes from C to A, and now we're only spanning from the 1st fret to the 5th fret. So what we can see is this is a sort of a more economical way for us to play through the notes as opposed to continuing to move up one string. In which case we keep getting further and further from the root note. So now that we've seen the notes, we can apply this information to the scale tone chords. So now if we want to play the scale tone chords, starting with C major, the 1 chord, and playing up through A minor, the 6th chord, we start with our open C. Then we have our D minor at the 3rd fret with the root note at the 3rd fret. And now I can go to the open E for my root note and play the E minor there. If we keep moving along this line that's on the E string now, my F major chord is right here. Now, at this point, I have to switch chord fingerings. So now the challenge becomes to find that F note and switch into the appropriate major chord fingering. But I have that F right here at the 1st fret. And when I move up to the G major, I only have to move this up 2 frets. And finally, to get my A minor, I can move up to the 5th fret. And that is the whole point of what I'm trying to get at here, is that these lines overlap. And when we can discover where the lines overlap, we can sort of find ways to play our chords and not have to travel as far. So that's basically it. That's the basic information for the lesson. What I want to challenge you to do is I want to challenge you to sort of play through the scale tone chords, starting with each C chord. We're not going to start up here at the 13th fret for now, but starting with the C on the 1st fret of the B string, or the C at the 5th fret of the G string, or even the C at the 8th fret. And I want you to try to find ways to play through the scale tone chords in order and try to narrow down the amount of movement. So that's it for the lesson. Now in the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to take this newfound information, that hopefully you'll work to turn into some knowledge. We're going to take that and we're going to find ways to play chord progressions. And now we're really going to start to see the benefits of chord voicing so that we can keep the chords that we need to play close together. So put in your time, put in your work, and I hope to see you there. Peace.